What you're saying, Mr. Carney, with respect, is a total contradiction. The No New Development Law, C-69, guarantees there will not be one-stop shop because it requires the Government of Canada to actually duplicate the same project.
Have no regulation.
Have one-stop shop.
Over any energy development.
We just got to let him finish his sentence. Let's just let him finish his sentence.
Well, that is not true. In fact, Mr. Singh, the reality is we should have strong rules enforced once. We shouldn't have multiple levels of referral that it takes now 17 years to get a major project approved in this country. That is why in the last 10 years we've had the worst economic growth in the entire G7. We cannot afford a fourth liberal.
Pollievre, I promised you next.
Listen, after the last 10 years of liberals blocking pipelines and killing jobs.
Sounds wild when you say that.
We actually need to get things done.
Sense.
We need a change, and our conservative plan.
Just saying, you wanted it.
Yes, returning to the topic of housing. Now, it's very important. Obviously, we need to build homes that people can afford. Mr. Pollievre had the opportunity to show us what he could do. He was the Minister of Housing under Stephen Harper, and during that time, guess how many homes he built? He built 6 homes during that entire time. This is not something you can trust to build homes. He built 6 homes. 200,000. This has been confirmed again and again. He built 6 homes. That's it. Now,
first of all, Mr. Singh, the Toronto Star debunked your falsehoods.
No, it was 6 homes,
and I appreciate neither Liberals or NDP are very good with math, but in that year, the year I was the minister, if I could,
which is great.
The year I was,
Singh, let's let him answer.
In the year I was
high enough, though.
The year I was minister, we had 200,000 homes built, and guess what the average price of a home was at the time? $450,000.
And guess what happened
and
at the end of the Conservative reign?
One bedrooms rented out for $900, and that's since that time, housing costs have actually doubled under the Liberals.
They doubled
and
now we have too.
Now we have Mr. Carney making tens of billions of dollars of spending promises that will ultimately continue to.
I'm going to pick up on. I thought that answer was quite revealing. The first thing is that it's an attitude that absolutely ignores affordable housing, deeply affordable housing, issues with vulnerable people, ignores the rental market, ignores all other aspects of it. So the 6 are the relevant. Mr. Singh is absolutely right. The 6 are the relevant.
200,000.
The 200,000 are a different part of the housing market. There are many Canadians. There are many Canadians at different income levels. The second thing.
Conservatives have a plan for change. And that plan includes
voted against every measure to help people out.
If I could, cutting income taxes by 15% for the average worker and senior, saving a working couple up to $2,000, rewarding hard work again. Because hard work is actually being punished. Is actually, again, pay off with a powerful paycheck that buys you an affordable home
so you want to save
on
people
a safe
$2,000,
street, and that's what we will deliver.
You want to save people $2,000, but cut their dental care, which is thousands of dollars.
False.
Cut their child care, which is thousands of dollars. Cut pharmacare coverage, which is thousands of dollars.
False.
That's not a very good math deal right there. You're going to save people $2,000, but cost them tens of thousands of dollars. That's why you cannot afford Conservatives. And you certainly can't trust the Liberals on their own.
Turn.
Wrong people. 90% of guns that come in that are used in crime are smuggled illegally over the porous, Liberal-run borders.
The border,
and that's why the police.
Border officers.
It's not true, and that's why the police.
The border officers.
The police actually, if I could, because they know that I will go after the gun smugglers and criminals with 2,000 extra frontline border guards that will stop the guns from coming in.
Now you want to hire them.
Unlike the Liberals and NDP. Mr. Carney didn't answer my question. I asked how much would an industrial carbon tax on Canadian steel add to the price of a car? And he won't answer because he knows that it will be very expensive because there's lots of steel in cars. Now, well, Mr. Carney has temporarily
But do you know the answer?
hidden the carbon tax.
You don't know the answer either. You're just throwing out
thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars.
Making it up, though. You don't know.
Cost.
I actually do know the answer to that question. He's wrong.
When you add taxes to steel, you raise the price of everything that uses steel. When you add taxes to the price, when you add the carbon tax on to repeal the industrial carbon tax and get rid of the Liberal energy cap. We need 6 months approval in order to take back energy security and energy sovereignty.
We can summarize that.
Mr. Carney, hang on. Last word to Mr. Carney in this segment, please.
Thank you very much. You know, I was born in Fort Smith in the Northwest Territories, just north of what the oil sands became. When I was born and when I was growing up in Edmonton, early days, it was a fairy tale, quote unquote. But you know what happened? Canadian ingenuity, Canadian engineers, Canadian governments, both the federal government and the Alberta government that's the opportunity we have. That's the opportunity we have in carbon capture. That's the opportunity we have in small modular reactors. That's the opportunity we have in hydrogen beyond. This country can be a clean energy superpower. My government will help deliver it.
And that is time.
We're in a serious crisis. Healthcare workers are burnt out. They are overstretched. And what we're seeing is more and more privatization, and that is hurting our public universal healthcare system. So we've got to fight back against it. We cannot allow our public money to go to a for-profit private clinic lining the pockets of a rich CEO or investors instead of going towards care. We need to make sure that we are investing in solutions where care gets to people, not profiting those at the very top. And
it also means open trade. Mr. Pollievre voted against free trade agreement with Ukraine. It means aid for Ukraine. Mr. Pollievre wants to cut foreign aid, including for Ukraine, or not. He didn't mention support for aid for Ukraine. We have to...
And that when we come here, we put our foreign conflicts behind, and we put Canada
first.
Mr. Singh,
come
please,
from countries from around the world, and they care deeply about where they come from, and they should be able to do so. That's a part of being in our country, to have that freedom. Your treatment of Palestinians has been frankly disgusting. Your treatment of people who provide care and service for people in Gaza has been disgusting. On top of that, people in Israel and in Palestine deserve to live in peace and security.
They have allowed massive overcrowding in our communities. That has caused housing shortages, job shortages,
Don't blame immigration
and
for the fault of your government.
And if I could,
the fact that you did
sorry,
not
I didn't interrupt
housing,
you. I did not interrupt you,
six homes,
sir. I did not interrupt you.
Don't blame.
I do not blame.
Your
if I could.
I'll say a word about Brookfield. You know, this is a Canadian success story. It is the largest infrastructure investor and developer in the world. It is one of the largest, if not the largest, developer of renewable power in the world. And who benefits from that? That's Canadian pensioners. That's Quebec pensioners. That is teachers. That is firefighters. It is a series of people, including individuals on this stage, benefit from that.
The single biggest export. Why would you not repeal this Liberal law? Isn't it because you are exactly the same in the same line as Justin Trudeau and the rest of the Liberal team that is now making up your cabinet?
Let's get to several points raised. All proceeds go to workers and the firms most effective, and those proceeds are considerable. Third thing, I'm interested in solutions. I'm interested in getting energy infrastructure built. That means pipelines, that means carbon capture, storage, that means electricity grids. And here's how you do it. And we've already moved in the first month. Cooperation agreements with the provinces. Guess what? We are a federation. You need to cooperate with Quebec. You need to cooperate with the provinces. You need to get First Nations and Indigenous people buy-in. You can do that through the one project, one review window that we put in place at that first ministers' meeting, as well as, if necessary, using emergency powers to fulfill the federal responsibility, but not the unique.
Mr. Pollievre, you want to come back?
Fundamental point. We can give ourselves far more than Donald Trump can ever take away. If we have one Canadian economy, not 13, and if we just look at that agreement we got with the provinces, look at what Ontario and Nova Scotia have just announced in terms of their steps towards this, this is within our grasp.
Let me get Mr. Carney to respond to that. Do you think that's an appropriate use of the notwithstanding clause of the Charter?
I think that one of the core responsibilities of the federal government, Prime Minister, is to defend the fundamental rights and liberties of Canadians. And those fundamental rights and liberties of Canadians are outlined in our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which is 43 years old literally today. I think it's a very dangerous slope to override judgments of the Supreme Court of Canada. In fact, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms exists to protect Canadians from people like us on the stage, politicians who may use their power to override fundamental rights. And the issue in using by the federal government, I'll stop here, is not where you start, but where will you stop?